We have an important update about a King 5 investigation. The man at the center of a violent Nazi group in Washington state is in trouble with the law again. Jessica Janner Castro joins us now with the latest on this. Jessica?
Hi there, Greg. Yeah, King County has now issued an arrest warrant for Caleb James Cole. He's charged with violating an extreme risk protection order that prohibits him from having firearms. According to court documents, police in Post, Texas stopped a car for speeding last month. It's a traffic stop that turned into a big discovery. Investigators say Cole was driving and his buddy Aiden Bruce Umbaugh was in the passenger seat. Police say both men claim there was nothing illegal inside the vehicle, but after searching, officers say they found 4 rifles, a handgun, 2,000 rounds of ammunition, and small amounts of marijuana and drug paraphernalia. As investigators first reported, the Seattle Police Department was granted an extreme risk protection order against Cole on October 8th. He is a self-proclaimed leader of Atomwaffen in Washington state, a group that has threatened violence in a so-called race war. And using that protection order, police were able to seize 9 firearms and order Cole to stay away from guns for 12 months. Now, that is the big headline because as a result of this Texas traffic stop, which was less than a month after the protection order went into effect, Cole could now be arrested if he steps foot back into Washington state. And as part of this new arrest warrant, bail has been set at $20,000. We should note that his home address is in Arlington. Also related, King County prosecuting attorney Dan Satterberg said in court documents that Cole has demonstrated that he is a risk to public safety and that firearms were in his control, possession, and access. Back to you guys.
Okay, Jessica, thank you. Coming up.